I'm a K-I-N-G, baby, I'm all you need. In the off-white Rari, baby, we run the streets. I'm a K-I-N-G, Westside royalty. I'm a K-I-N-G, baby, that's all you need. I'm a K-I-N-G, baby, I'm all you need.
Welcome back, everyone. You're with their host, Stephen Basito, on my podcast, Get It. We're on the Social Nostra Network, and make sure you please subscribe, like, comment, give us some feedback so we can have that engagement with you guys. We really enjoy it. And today, my guest is Daniela Garcia, and we're going to be talking about her journey and what she's doing and some things that she's moving through. And then, of course, how you can follow her and watch what she's doing and progressing through in life. She's got a fun little story herself. So please walk us through one of the, I think the fun parts for people too, especially for me, is hearing about, family members and people that are moving through the entertainment industry or professional sports. And your family is a family that is in the entertainment industry. Your brother's in a rock band and some other stuff. So tell us a little bit about that, and then how you got to where you are and what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Okay, well, that's a lot of ground to cover, but we've got time. So yeah, my family has been in the entertainment industry for as long as my father could walk, I feel like, and my mother realized that she could use her creativity to help the world. So she does, and she expresses herself through art. And so my parents are both previous music producers, Latin Grammy nominees, BMI winners. They're such a big deal. And then my brother walks in that same musical footstep. He's decided to go in a totally different direction musically. My parents are Latin music and salsa and things like that, and my brother is heavy metal, which isn't actually in any language particularly. But he's got that going on, and it's been something that my family has always been super supportive of anything artsy. In high school, I was president of my drama club 2 years in a row, toot. And they were always really supportive of us doing anything artistic. Anytime I needed furniture or clothes or props for my sets or money or a space to do something, my mother was the first one there, ready to go, ready to rumble, get things done. Same thing for my brother. If his band needed a practice space, our backyard was fine. If they needed a space for a music festival because 6 or 7 bands were going to get together and 50 people wanted to hear them, my parents were fine with that as long as they all came in through the gate on the side. Nobody could bring in their dirt to the house. That's reasonable. So super supportive always, and always just driving and pushing us to do more and telling us that, we can do anything. And I have blindly believed them into this incredible journey that is pod booking, which is this really awesome social network that I'm building that is designed and will be launching and setting to organize the relationship and collaboration of podcasts and podcasters. So for podcasters to connect with potential guests, for podcasters to connect with collaborators, for them to connect with media buyers and advertising agencies and advertisers and brands, as well as connecting with each other. Because there is tons of growth and just value in connecting with each other as well. So,
and is this something that is new, or is this something that you've seen others do beforehand?
I had never seen anybody do it before. And then a week ago when I had the idea, I started seeing some other things that are similar, but nothing that is quite nothing that is quite like the design of my platform, and nothing that is quite like my platform is significantly more social and more so around engagement and community. Others are, and obviously, monetization of podcasting is definitely a huge part of the community and going to be a huge factor in its success, but it's not the focal point of the platform, if you will.
Right.
Whereas other platforms are focusing heavily on the monetization, whereas I'm focusing more on the community building.
Okay.
So, there's little differences. People are going to have their favorites. Eventually the winner will prevail, if you will. If you think about it, MySpace was out, Facebook came in, MySpace who? 20 years later. So I was never like worried about that going into it. And now I'm less worried. The more that I develop the network and the more that I see the platform work and the more that I'm connecting with the community as well, I'm less and less worried about competition, which is a good feeling.
Good. So do you have people that are helping you with this, or is this something you're just doing on your own? This is your own solo venture?
This is my own solo venture, but there is definitely, I mean, I guess I can't really say that, like, that's not fair, because there's definitely people involved in helping, and there's definitely support that I could not get through this without. But in terms of, you know, who's, like, nobody else is, like, putting in the hours that I'm putting, if you will. It's more so like I'm definitely utilizing all the tech support surrounding all the resources that I'm using. So like shout out to Lawrence at GoDaddy. Oh my God, he's amazing. He gave me his email address and everything. He's like, okay, you called so many times, like just email me directly. So all of those like incredible resources, just the amount of resources on the internet alone, like platforms that provide templates and design and things like that. And then of course my family has been incredibly supportive, and my husband is a saint. He's been super great at just giving me space, keeping me hydrated.
There you go. Good. And why is this your passion? What was it for you that, like, you know, I guess to give context to this question, people find their passions at different points in life, or through different events, or through different circumstances. So why is this your passion? What was it that made you want to funnel your time and energy and resources into doing this?
The fact that it's a huge hole in this growing medium. I mean, this medium is expanding at a rapid rate, and it's a necessity in it. It's desperately trying to connect. You've got multiple hashtags that are designed around podcasters uniting, podcasters unite, podcasters of Instagram, podcasting community. You know, people are trying to connect. There's all these groups on Facebook, people again trying to connect with each other and trying to find guests and trying to get tips, and it just makes sense that the community is large enough that a platform is necessary. Finding spaces in all these other platforms just isn't going to cut it as it continues to grow. And I am madly in love with the concept of my elevation will come through the elevation of others. I believe firmly that if you're not elevating others, you're not truly elevating. Like no one's elevating. So I love the fact that I'm going to be able to build this. People are going to come on it. Other people are going to establish and grow and build their own little networks and their own groups. And there's going to be so many success stories in it. And that's going to be like the greatest success of all. Okay.
Well, that's really cool. So, you know, going back to the whole family thing. So you come from a family that's very artistic and, you know, musically inclined, which is actually family I come from.
Cool.
The exact opposite. I was athletic, and that nothing's changed. So my family is still all about music and art and
what kind of music? What kind of art?
So that's a great question. So I have family members who are country music artists. I have family members who are folk music artists.
Okay.
I can't really explain a lot about that. And if they're watching this, I'm sorry. I don't listen to it. It's hard for me.
Taylor Swift is going to make it cool. It's okay.
But no, to be honest, I don't even really listen to a lot of music anymore. But
okay.
I have family that's, you know, like my grandparents are in traveling. Well, pre-COVID, they were in a traveling musical group that travels all over, sometimes the world, and they've been doing that for years.
Playing an instrument or?
Singing. But my grandma plays multiple instruments, and she actually still, well, up until COVID, she was teaching. She had like 25, 30 students that she taught piano to, as well as some other musical instruments, which again, that's not my scene. But I have family they're members that are in acting, so they're in the entertainment industry, or they do film work, or they do the music for it, or they do all kinds of stuff. I am not that person. I am sports. That's what I do. So my whole family, like, very musically inclined. I've got cousins who play guitar in major bands, all kinds of stuff. Again, I have family that they're killing it in that scene. That is not my scene. I am an athlete. I am a coach. I am the other side of the spectrum. And also most of my family still live relatively close in the same.
Oh, they're like in the same areas.
Right. So most of my family's either in Washington State. My mom's Canadian, so I have family out in the Toronto area.
I'm so sorry.
And then I moved to Southern California, away from everyone. So I did have some family members here in the LA area over time, like through the different modes of their careers of being in the entertainment industry, but they always have eventually upped and gone to other places. And so my wife and my daughter, well, so I met my wife here, and now we have a daughter with another on the way. So we've kind of established our little family unit here. But yeah, for the most part, I mean, people like to come here because Disneyland's 5-10 minutes from us, and you know, the beaches are 10 minutes from us. And
is she totally a Disney princess?
Oh yeah.
Good. That's the way to raise them.
Yeah, she's got all of her Disney dresses in her room. She likes to only wear dresses, Disney dresses. So
of course, like a princess should.
Right. So we would find her in the morning when we go wake her up. She would take off her pajamas and put on Disney princess dresses, and we wake her up in her princess dresses. So when I say we, so my wife went and bought her Disney dress pajamas. So it's still a dress, but it's the PJ version of it. And
yes.
So she's got like, I want to say like 10, maybe 12 of those. Plus then she has her like daytime dresses. So she has her own little closet thing now that has all these dresses. And
oh my God. So like viewers, listeners, you all thought that you were going to be hearing about my journey, but what you're really getting is parenting hacks. Good. Real parenting hacks right here.
Yeah. So to go back to my question for you.
Oh yeah.
So your family is very much into the arts, music, entertainment, that kind of stuff. And you've taken something that's different for sure. I mean, maybe not necessarily from an entertainment standpoint. I know that part of what we do is entertainment, right? People are listening, yeah. Right? But it's vastly different from, I guess, what the traditional stuff is, which would be, you know, movies, TV, that kind of stuff, and obviously music. So what made you want to kind of go in a different direction or I guess go the route of something that was the least explored or journeyed road in your family?
I think because I always kind of thought, okay, you've got this, like, I'm very artistic. Like, I'm a great writer, and I can say that, you know, like, I confidently feel that way. I love what I write, and I write what I love. And so I always felt like, okay, I've got kind of that. Like, what I really need to know is how to sell it, like how to monetize it.
Okay.
You know, and like how do you communicate to the masses? Like, that was the skill set that was really going to make me more successful. And I knew that, like, you know, going into school and stuff like that. And just picking my career in general. And I think it's been a really good move because I've learned so much more about, like, how do you actually produce and distribute and publish art, you know, and how do you create a brand, and how do you get people to be interested in learning more about you and be interested in pursuing, like, your work as you release it and things like that. That seemed way more like a good investment of my time and a good investment of a skill set to invest in. Sure. Because it was just kind of like, okay, like, and this is in no way, shape, or form like a bash to artistry and going to school and working on your skills as an artist. And like, if I had all the time and money in the world, it definitely would have like done that whole path. But for me, it was more so like, okay, I can learn as I go. I can get better. I can do more. I'll work. There's so much collaboration that goes into art. Like, it's not just like I'd be the only writer or I'd be the only person involved in anything artistic. Like, at the end of the day, there was going to be directors, editors, agents, all these other layers. So at the end of the day, what I really needed to work on was learning how to connect with those people and how to create a product that they would ultimately be interested in investing in.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so it seems like a good idea at the time, and it's working out. And when it comes to podcasting, I had gotten into it originally because I was working in the beauty industry, and I saw that there was like this beauty, cosmetics. Yeah, so I had started a sales agency for indie beauty products. Okay. So like just kind of virtually unknown beauty products. And in doing that, I started connecting more with that community, and I created a podcast, and it was the Indie Beauty House podcast. anybody wants to check it out. Actually, some pretty great interviews in it. But in that, I started learning about this whole medium, and I realized like it was difficult for me to find guests, and it was hard for me to be consistent because it was hard for me to find interesting guests for every show and things like that. And then when it came to the idea of like monetizing and stuff like that, like I was totally lost on how like that process would work exactly for a podcast, because it was so different and I didn't know what the values were and things like that. So like there was just still so much unknown about podcasting. And so ultimately COVID happened. I ended up being a transplant from the beauty industry into the software industry. And while working in the software industry, I've learned so much more about the digital side of marketing and all the different innovations going into marketing. And then I started kind of starting to write my own book and writing my own ebook and kind of growing myself, developing more like my personal development and things like that, and stepping more into who I am in this world, for lack of a better term, I guess, you know, just kind of finding my purpose. And so I was like, you know, I'd be interested in like going on a few podcasts. Like I think I could bring some value. I've got interesting perspectives. At this point, I've got this experience in the beauty industry and I have this experience in software. And it was super hard to find shows because everybody's not like perfectly categorized. And there isn't one specific place you can go to just find, okay, shows in business and entrepreneurship with the listeners between this, 2,000 and 10,000 viewers, because based on my social following and stuff, that's kind of my sweet spot. So it's like all these little things that I was like, I can't just find that. There isn't just a place that I can go for this information. So I was just in bed and I was getting ready for sleep and I was reflecting on my day and I was like, man, I'm glad that I have enough kind of like savviness to like know to engage with hashtags and find people and, just kind of scrape on by and stuff. But I'm thinking of the people who like don't know to do those things and are even more lost than I am, and I'm pretty lost. So then I'm thinking, man, there should just be one place where you can go and like everyone's there, like a Facebook or a LinkedIn. Like you can find everybody on LinkedIn and everybody on Facebook. And I was like,
good point.
Wait a second, I can do that. Like I'm perfectly capable of doing that. So I got up and I didn't go to sleep till like 5 a.m. that night. And I got a whole ton of it done, and I started doing just all of it, created all the profiles, started connecting with people, started getting my idea out there. And it's been growing steady as she goes.
Well, that's how any successful business goes.
Right? That's what I keep saying.
Steady growth.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if you can hear it, but
there's a plane.
At some point we had a helicopter start in our house. I tell you what, it's always something here in Southern California, and it's just been circling our house. Super annoying.
Alarming.
Maybe not really. I guess in our house we have two pit bulls, and I'm an ex-fighter, and my wife is from New York. So I'd actually feel bad for anybody that walked into our house by accident.
No. I mean, I'm in the South, so it's always really quiet, and whenever anything happens, it's like, what's going on?
Yeah, no, not here in Southern California. There's always something going on. If it's quiet, then you should be concerned and worried.
Okay. Kind of like in SpongeBob, that episode where it's like, it's quiet.
No, you know what? I never watched it. To be honest, again, I don't really watch much TV.
I keep meeting so many adults who did not watch SpongeBob as a kid, and it's mind-boggling to me because I didn't know anybody who wasn't watching it when I was a kid.
No, it's popular for well, let me ask you this. How old are you?
25.
Yeah, there's a huge gap in our age.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my husband too. My husband's 11 years older than I am. And he never saw it. He's like, I was just slightly too old for it. But the thing is that like my brother's 5 years older than me and he was obsessed with it. So I don't know who's off.
Right. Well, there's almost a 15-year gap between the two of us. So
oh, wow.
I did like watching certain cartoons when I was a kid, but it was like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Transformers.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Tortoises. I'm on a mission to correct this. They are tortoises.
Yeah, but it's called Turtles for the Show.
I know, but they're tortoises.
Well, I guess you're going to have to contact the show and let them know that they did it wrong.
It's just if cancel culture is going to get involved in anything, it needs to get involved in this. This is a pressing issue.
Yeah, so I watched like those kinds of things when I was a kid, and then, but you know, I honestly just got super busy in life because I was always working. I always took jobs, or kind of like, you know, I was the kid that did all the lawn mowing in the neighborhood and washed cars, and I did the new, you know, we had this like big gate that had to be open and closed every day. So I was always trying to hustle and make money, and I just grew up like more low income. So for me, like, making money meant I could buy things I wanted to buy because I didn't always get stuff. And so that, and then I did have like, you know, friends in the neighborhood I like to hang out with. And then I also was an athlete, and I also have learning disabilities. So school was always challenging. So like, let's say you read a book and it takes you 2 hours to read that book. And then you can write like, you know, a pretty good summary of that book.
Right.
Well, for me, it's going to take me conservatively 4 to 6 hours to read that same book. So I'm gonna have to read everything a couple times to truly understand and grasp it. And then it's gonna take me a little while to write stuff. Now I've gotten better over the years because I've learned different techniques and things to help over time, but there's still, I'm just slower at it. So whatever speed you can go at, I'm just slower. So anyways, but when I was a kid, I hadn't learned all that stuff yet. So yeah, I just didn't watch tons of TV when I got a little older because I was more focused on trying to progress through life. And then I became a 2-sport collegiate athlete, which took up every spare second I had. You know, that's a 6 to 8 hour job.
That's intense.
And I wanted to play pro sports, so that was my focus. So everybody's got something different. And then I moved to California, and to be honest, I was too busy surfing and like hanging out and just growing businesses and all the things that go into being a young entrepreneur in a new area. And I do actually, I'm a like really outdoorsy kind of person, not maybe right now, but
I know.
Before I had a daughter, I used to surf all the time and snowboard and wakeboard and play basketball.
Are you planning on doing that with her, like as she grows up?
Yeah, we're gonna actually start snowboarding this year.
Yay! Milestone.
Yeah, my wife is not happy.
Well,
that's okay. We'll see. We'll have fun. Me and Scarlett will have fun. Tara's due in December with our second daughter, so she'll be at home with our other daughter.
Okay. It might be nice for her to like just be like alone with the baby, you know what I mean?
For sure.
And
yeah, for sure. So we're excited. But yeah, so
congratulations.
Those kinds of, thank you so much. So those, you know, so when people want to talk about like these different shows and stuff, like we just don't really watch anything. And like we'll watch, like now we watch, you know, we'll pick a show and we'll watch it together at night if we can both manage to stay awake. So right now we're on The Witcher from Netflix.
Okay, you could do it. I couldn't do it. It was so boring.
What?
It was so boring.
What? How many episodes did you watch?
Like 2.
You got to get through like the first couple to really get going.
That's rude.
I
That's
like
cruel.
I feel like episode 3 really took off. And the same with Tara. So like she got through the first one, and the second one she didn't really get through. And I was like, look, you need to commit to this. Cause I'd gotten through episode 7. And I was like, dude, it just goes.
Okay.
You need to get through the first 2. She's like, okay. So we rewatched the first 2 one night. And then we banged out like 3, 4, and 5. And the other night she's like, I want to keep going. And I was like, it was like midnight. I was like, there's no way I'm going. I got to get up at 5:30. I'm tired. I got to train people. I'm going to sleep.
I love when that happens though.
Well, I think she actually did watch it because I was asleep. So she ripped out like 4 of them one night. And I made it through like 2.5. And then we watched episode 7. And so we're on episode 8 now, which is new for both of us because I hadn't watched episode 8 yet. I had got her through the first 7. So we'll watch that, I think, tonight, maybe tomorrow. And then, you know, there's only 1 season right now. So then we'll probably move on to something else. So that's kind of how we've done it now is we're watching like shows, but we only have like 1 season. So we've gotten through like a couple of new shows, but, you know, now it's kind of like, well, crap. And all these shows have another season. I'm screwed because I'm not time to watch them.
My husband and I have just like a few shows that are just, okay, these shows have like tons of episodes. They're funny. They're easy to just like go through. We can like The Office is one of those. You can just hop on any episode of The Office at any time and you're good, you know?
Yep.
And then we've got the ones that are like, okay, this is going to be like the new thing we're into. But then we have like fillers.
Well, there was a while. So I'm a big Marvel fan.
Okay.
So there was a while when Netflix did like, Daredevil and Jessica Jones,
Yeah.
Agent Iron.
So that was your jam.
That was my jam. Netflix and Marvel like split, and they've done none of them.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have Disney Plus?
I have Disney Plus, but there's nothing on. They haven't made any of the new seasons yet or anything.
What?
I'm not sure they're gonna put that on Disney Plus. Those are very graphic. Those are like R-rated TV shows.
They've got like National Geographic and stuff, and like they've got all of like Fox, I think.
No.
All of 21st Century Fox is on there.
That's not the same.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Well, if you watch an episode of Daredevil, you will understand why that
it's
is
not. It's
Disney.
not going on Disney Plus.
I can't. It's like if it was gonna have a rating, it would be rated R.
Okay.
They're not gonna put rated R content on Disney Plus. They'll have to.
I hope not.
Streaming service to put that on because it's. I
They might
promise you, just watch a couple episodes. My wife won't even watch the Punisher show, which is one of my favorite shows, because it's so violent and
I bet.
you can't take it.
I bet.
She has a limit, and the Punisher, Daredevil flirted with that line a lot. There were a lot of seasons or episodes she did this, but Punisher,
it's aggressive.
she couldn't even watch an episode. She's like, no, I can't watch it. I'm not doing it. And I don't blame her. It's graphic, but I enjoyed it. But anyways, yeah, so that's it, right? So that's kind of that was my little niche stuff with my Marvel shows, which are no longer around. So, yeah. Now
I'm so sorry for your loss.
It's okay. I read a lot of books. Going back to.
Okay,
really,
good. So you kind of overcome.
Yeah, well, the entrepreneur stuff, right? So, like, for you, you're learning and growing and developing and figuring out how to be better at this, right?
Yeah.
And what your passion is. And if you want to be good at anything, you need to invest time in it. And if you look at anybody that's successful in life, anybody in entrepreneurship, they spend a lot of time reading. Yeah. I actually listened to a guy talk about how he had followed the most successful people for like 20 years. And he ended up writing a book, which escapes me at the moment. But the point is, like, he followed all their habits, what they did, how they lived their lives. And he was able to basically take all these commonalities and say, well, if this is what you're looking for, like, these are a lot of the common traits and shared things that they do and how they're so successful, like time management, but reading. All of them, like he said, I think it was an average of like, I don't know, I want to say like 20 books a year.
Wow.
They would read, each of these individual people. So reading, learning, developing, growing, having a structured schedule, obviously managing time well, which can be really challenging. And if you're watching TV all the time, you're not managing time well, which is,
I know.
I don't really watch much TV, so it wasn't a hit to me. But like, I'm in the process right now of reading 2 more really good books that are, for me, it's not just what you read, it's how you apply it.
Right. That makes sense.
Constantly trying to apply what I'm learning, which is also exhausting at times. But I've learned that through that, I've grown all my businesses exponentially as well, because you're taking all this time to learn, then apply, then dissect your results and say, oh, well, this worked, this didn't work. This could be better. How do we expand on this? How do we better this? Now, how do we go back to what didn't work? Just, do we axe it, or do we try and redo it? Do we look at it a different way? It's a lot of fun. I mean, I really do enjoy business and entrepreneurship. I will say it's also time consuming and can be taxing. And my wife is a very patient woman, because there's times that she doesn't see me. Before COVID hit, I hate being in this weird world right now where it's like pre-COVID, you're in COVID, we post-COVID one day. But I would work 7 days a week, 18, 20 hours a day. And I actually really enjoyed doing it. It wasn't, for me, it wasn't a big deal, but for my wife, she missed seeing me, which is understandable.
No, I've been working harder than I've ever worked these last 7 days. I've been waking up every single morning with the biggest smile on my face, super excited, jumping out of bed, because I'm going to get up and I'm going to work on pod booking, and then I have my job. And then I get to go back to pod booking. So it's like the sooner I get out of bed, the sooner I get to work on pod booking. So it's
when are you going to stop working your other job?
I don't know. I guess it depends on the path in which pod booking kind of takes. That's something that I've been thinking about, is if it's something that's like somebody comes along and they're like, we'd be interested in investing a certain exuberant amount of funds for a percentage of the company, and like everything can just like kind of go boom in a moment, that would be one thing. But if it's one of those things where like, I'm going to have to build this entire network by myself,
Right.
I mean, that's a totally different story.
So how do you plan on making money with it then?
Advertising.
Oh, so just having people that pay for ads and stuff.
Yeah, and also just Google ads on the page. Like, it doesn't have to be anything all that complicated, if you will. Like, I mean, Facebook makes a huge percentage of their revenue just on ad space.
It's true. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. So how can people follow your journey and watch what you're doing and get involved?
So we are at Pod Booking on Instagram. We are at Booking Pod on Twitter. And we're just Pod Booking on Facebook. And then you can sign up for our wait list. So our wait list is just to continue to get email updates, and you'll be like just that much more connected on different things. We'll also be sending any content that we make in terms of blogs and guest reviews and features that we have over the course of this launching period. And then from that wait list, we're also going to be choosing our beta testers. And a reason a lot of people are like, oh, why not just choose your like first 50 people who sign up? And the reason why is because we're looking for people who are going to be compatible and actually going to have some collaboration. So we're going to need a larger wait list to like choose beta testers. Nice. So yeah, because I definitely want people, if within beta testing, we can get collaborations out of it, and we could even get like guest appearances coming out of it and have just results already just out of beta test. That's going to put us in a significantly better position for everybody than if it kind of is like a deadbeat test. So yeah.
True. Well, good. Well, good for you. And really appreciate your time, and excited to hear about what you've got working on and in this new network that you're putting together. I'm excited to see how this plays out. Obviously, keep in touch and let us know so we can continue to watch it grow and be involved in some way, hopefully here. And thank you so much for your time. I know that especially for someone that's working a job and then you're doing all this other stuff, it's a lot. It's a lot.
This is part of it.
That's true.
This is part of it. Is connecting with the podcasting community and just getting people to know who we are.
Well, I love it. Well, again, thank you so much. And for all of you listeners, thank you so much for being with us today. I'm your host, Steven Basito, on my podcast, Get It. And again, we're on the Social Nostra Network. And please make sure you follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, and of course on YouTube here. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Have a wonderful time and day.